So it's my pleasure to introduce to you today Miss Quirk. I don't know if you want me to do the first name.
I'm Cindy
Okay.
Dunston Quirk.
Cindy, who will be sharing with you about her entrepreneurial journey. So, turn it over.
Hello. Can everybody hear me? Okay, so welcome. I am thrilled to be here and talk about my journey as an entrepreneur. This January will be 13 years since I started my company. So we've had some successes along the way, and we've had some challenges, and we've had a little bit of everything, good, bad, and the ugly, and the indifferent. When I talk about my background, it's pretty diverse, as you can see. I won't go through everything, but I've worked for corporations. I was born in Georgia, well, actually I was born in Oklahoma, but I lived in Georgia, thus the peach. Went to Georgia State University and majored in business, and I hated accounting. Hated it so much, I took it twice through basic accounting, and I just hated it. But you need to know the stuff that you're learning, because you never know where it's going to lead you on your journey. You don't know where your journey is going to lead you, and then you don't know how much this stuff will impact, because as an entrepreneur, you have to know how to read financials and do projections. And if you don't, I know enough accounting to be dangerous. That's why I hire a bookkeeper and a CPA. So, but my background, I've gone from working for an insurance company. I worked for McDonald's right out of college, because I said I'd never work there until I was almost starving. Well, I was. So that's when I worked at McDonald's. I was going to go to pharmacy school, but I didn't, because I couldn't pass organic chemistry. So the universe was saying, no, do the business so you could feed yourself, and then we'll figure something else out along the way. I've ghostwritten. I worked for my church. A year later, I got fired by my church. So I've been, the mark of an entrepreneur usually is that you should work for yourself, because you really can't work for other people. That's what I've found, because I've gotten fired from every job I've ever had but one. And that was because I moved to Indiana. I left one job and went to Indiana about 40 years ago. So you never know where you're going to go, but every job along the way has taught me something that I needed to know. Bad bosses, good bosses, indifferent. Learn how to write, because when you do pitches, it helps, your one sheet and all that. I want you to meet Zoe. She was the inspiration for Scout and Zoe's, and then along came Scout. And today is the 1-year anniversary of Scout's passing. He passed away just around the corner to wait for me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon a year ago. So today is a very bittersweet day for me, because I'm full of emotion that it has been unchecked for the last year. I just want to cry every day when I think about losing him. But it's really a tribute to him and an honor to he and Zoe that I get to speak about them every day, but particularly to y'all on this day. So it's not so sad for me that I get to give you his legacy. And this is what we've built together. The reason that I started the company was because Zoe had allergies, not just little allergies, huge allergies to everything. When I had her tested, her list of allergies, no lie, was about this long. And they just went unchecked. So from 6 months old is where I found out she had allergies. So her entire life. She lived to be 14. She passed away in 2014. But her entire life, I tried to figure out things to help her, and finally hit on the idea of elk antler dog chews. And that's where everything started. I figured that if I could do this and do it, well, if I could solve the need for her, then she couldn't be the only dog in the world that had this issue, and I could maybe help other pet owners have it. And when you get to know me better, you'll know that I don't do anything half-assed. I don't do anything little bit. I do it all. I go whole hog or nothing. And I swear like a parrot, or swear like a sailor. So if something offends you, I'm so sorry, but it's just part of who I am. So, but we started with this, and this has, my husband thought that this was a hobby, that it was just something that I was going to do for a little bit, until I got a PO from Home Goods and Whole Foods, and I filled it out of my garage. And he thought, oh, well, this is pretty interesting. Maybe this is going to turn into something. That was in 2010. So, and this is my napkin drawing. So all good ideas usually start on a napkin or some little scrap of paper. This is mine, where they're recyclable. The elk shed them. I decided to use elk instead of deer because they were bigger. I wanted to give my customers a bigger value for their money. They shed. There's like nature's perfect recycling program. They're shed every year by the male elk or deer, and then people pick them up, sell them to brokers, I buy them, and we consume the entire antler. We cut it up into pieces like that, into different sizes. We even use the dust as calcium powder for reptiles and amphibians. So we consume every bit of the antler. And now that it's escalated in price to about 20 times what it was when I started, you know, that's really important. And very shortly, to a year's point after I started the business, we went global. So what just happened? There we go. So we did antlers in 2010. And then when the Chinese chicken jerky started killing dogs and cats and everybody else, we developed treats. And the first ones were these three. We did chicken jerky, sweet potatoes, and carrots. Because that was my line in the sand. It's like, we got to do something. I'd been thinking about it anyway. And to this day, we still have these in our assortment, although the packaging is changing. And that's a picture, and Three Dog Bakery is still one of my big accounts. So that journey with the treats, now, after all these many years, we did so well with the treats and the antlers we have so much competition for that it's like 90% of our business is treats now, which is the best diversion I ever made. It's like if you're going to go this path on a business and all of a sudden the universe says, do this, you should listen, because the universe is trying to tell you, if you listen to your gut and you do the market research, that you're usually right, except I didn't do any market research, so shh, don't tell anybody. Don't tell your professors that. Treats are huge because everybody knows how to give a dog or a cat a treat. Not many people at the time knew what to do with antlers. So the good thing about me is that I have this really vivid imagination, and it's kind of scary what's between my ears. And the best ideas for me come when I'm in the shower or right before I go to sleep. And for some reason, I thought about using carp, Asian carp, as a treat. And this is the skin of an Asian carp. I'm not sure why I did, but it turns out that Asian carp were brought over in the 70s along with disco and polyester. So to keep in check the foliage or the weeds in retention ponds, they were brought over for aquaculture. Well, floods make them escape their boundaries, and then all of a sudden they're just chewing up the waterways everywhere. And we're trying to stop them from getting to the Great Lakes. So I decided to use carp because it's a filter fish and it doesn't have heavy metals and mercury, and there's a lot of benefits to it, but we only have an hour. So, but we started using body parts, and we were first to market with Asian carp. So, and first to market for me means it was unseen in the pet industry, and we did something that nobody had done before. And you hear on Shark Tank all the time, if you watch that, and it's like, well, we don't have any competitors. Nobody does what we do. And then somebody like Kevin O'Leary goes, yeah, right, whatever, you know, or you're dead to me. But truly, we did do this first, and we've made quite a mark because it's eco-friendly, it's better nutrition for the animals, which is what we strive for. We strive for doing good by the pet, good by the community, and good by the earth. So another first to market, because we do venison, kangaroo, duck, chicken and beef, turkey, sardines. We do all kinds of fish, but all of those tend to be called novel proteins because Scout and Zoe were allergic to chicken and beef. Scout was allergic to chicken, Zoe was allergic to beef, so mealtimes at our house were a struggle to keep them out of each other's food. So I found things that they both could have. That led me to Superfly. So I'm like the queen, before I talk about that, I'm the queen of really strange body parts. These are trout heads, freeze-dried trout heads. This is freeze-dried chicken gizzard crisps. And we'll get to a couple, and this is part of our carp stuff too. These are hearts and livers out of the carp called vittles. So anyway, so being first to market and that weird space between my head, first, we did the Superfly, which is black soldier fly larva is a sustainable protein. It's an insect protein that on the same area that you raise 300 head of cows, you could raise hundreds of billions of these larvae. So we developed this product called Superfly, being first to market with it because nobody else had it. And we've done really well with it. And there's a lot of nutritional benefits to that too. And I have some samples up here for y'all at the end of the class. So the people who have pets or the people who know, who have pets. Third time that I've been first to market. So you could say that I'm pretty innovative. But this is for cats. These are cat toppers using the black soldier fly larva, nutritional yeast, which is also a protein, and nobody's using that, and then salmon or lamb lung. And then, because Ziva was our pup, or is our pup, and we needed to introduce her, so my business is mostly wholesale, but there's some direct-to-consumer. When Ziva came to the family, I wanted to introduce her to the business. So I started a subscription service for her. So you have, or you can send monthly boxes to yourself, to your pet, to friends, to people for gifts. But that's called Ziva's Surprise Pack. And she gets to sniff out the treats. But I did that for a couple of reasons. One, to introduce her to the business. And the other one, which I think is a brilliant idea, is to take stock that we had overstock in, excess inventory, and rid myself of it. So I didn't have to blow it out through closeout. I knew what it was. I knew what the cost was. I could contain everything. So we just do monthly subscription boxes. Brilliant idea. So anytime that you can take products that you have and do them in a linear fashion, like all of the black soldier fly, it crosses cats, dogs, geese, domestic birds, wild birds, ducks, all kinds of species. So that's a great product, and we can do a lot with it. And these, with the we'll have these for dogs soon too. Challenges, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of challenges, because if you want, it's like the hardest job you'll ever have, and the one where you'll work the most is being an entrepreneur. It's the easiest 80-hour plus a week job that you'll ever have. And it takes a really special talent to be one and to keep being one, because most businesses fail within 2 or 3 years. So if you don't keep at it, you're not going to succeed, but you have to get up every day and have some reason that your feet hit the ground. Logistics is a moving target because it keeps going up, and the logistics companies keep saying they don't have the staff to deliver everything on time, so you pay for FedEx Express and it gets there like a week later, and they won't credit you the difference. The scaling of your company will be challenging. It's not insurmountable, but you really have to stay at it, because if you don't have the monetary way to do it yourself, you're going to have to find the funds to do it. That's where your writing skills and your innovation and that all come into play. Customers, you love them, you hate them. It's the bane of your existence, but you can't do without them. And sometimes, and I'll give you a hint or a tip, and it took me years. I think I learned this when I was like 30. But it's okay to fire customers. You don't have to have every customer be with you and like with you until you die or you close your business or you sell. It's okay to let them go. Same with vendors. You don't have to be married to them for life either. So yeah, I love them. We call them, well, we have another name for them in the warehouse, but we won't go into that. But you gotta love them, but some of them can be so difficult, and I find it's easier for us. We do mostly wholesale business. 98% of our business is wholesale, and very little of it is direct to consumer. And for some reason, whether or not that's because of the sales experience that I've had, dealing with larger companies, I don't know why it is, but it has always been like swimming through butter for me, or swimming downstream. But I've never found the silver bullet that made our direct-to-consumer on our website blow up. I've just never found what that is. We have a great website. It's on our big commerce platform, and it's beautiful. And it's really, really a nice experience, but man, I can't figure it out. Vendors, oh my, you can't live without them. And so when you have them for your business, even if you're manufacturing something, you still have vendors for raw product. And it's really to your benefit to cultivate those relationships with kid gloves, because my vendors I've known for almost the entire time I've been in business. In fact, most of the time and you don't know this, that the treats are safe enough. They're human grade raw ingredients that are sourced and made in the United States. I eat most of the treats to prove how safe they are because of the Chinese chicken jerky thing. So I eat them to make sure that people know that I'm serious about how safe they are. I would eat off of the floor of most of my vendors' plants. So I trust them that much. And that's the kind of relationship that you need to have with your vendors, especially if you're in a consumable product where it's being ingested. But you gotta, and you can interrupt me at any time. I'm okay, we just have these for, and technology, you've seen today, you love it, you hate it, it works, it doesn't, it's expensive, and it's a piece of crap, and it's just something that you have to put up with. And then social media, it's a hate sort of thing for me. It's like I know it's something that I have to do, but I'm not really good at it because I'm not of the generation where we had it. It's something that has come to me later in life, in my second chapter, as I like to say, because I'm over 50. And I pay people to do it because I don't want to. I don't want to, and I don't know how, and I have so much on my plate otherwise that I don't do it. So if you're good at it, that's great, but as an entrepreneur, you have to have the mindset of, first of all, delegating things, because if you don't, then you'll be a solopreneur, and you can't scale your company. So get into the mindset of giving people tasks that is their silo or their wheel well where they're really good at it, and then you can concentrate on marketing or sales or pitches or schmoozing customers or whatever it is, or being the face of the company. And that's where I am, is I'm giving it to other people because I don't do accounting, I don't do my books, I don't do social media, but I do love to sell. We have a podcast, or we're getting ready to start one. I know, remember when I told you I like to swear? Well, if you go to our website and watch our branding video, you'll find that they unleashed the hounds, the proverbial hounds, when they asked me if I would say I fucking love dogs. Well, I do, and I did, and so that kind of like, whoa, it let me be me. Well, the podcast is going to be called I Fucking Love Dogs. But we haven't got the graphic for it yet, but it's coming, and yeah, it's coming. But I like to be the boss of me. Following my exit in the well, I don't know if it's the near future, but sometime in the next 5 years, somebody will make me that crazy, stupid offer to buy my company because it's already started, where people have been asking. And we haven't met that certain revenue amount because it's usually pretty lofty. You have to be in the several $1 million before an investor or a VC or a group looks at you seriously and says, okay, this is the value of your company. You can agree on that. This is your EBITDA. You know, you've got that going for you, and you've got enough assets. You've got enough of a customer base. But usually it's the revenue. And people have come knocking, but we haven't quite reached that revenue threshold for them to give me an offer sheet. So, pardon me? The threshold, the revenue threshold. Well, it can be several $1 million. It could be anywhere between $2 and $5 million that groups like to see before they seriously consider buying your company, because they think that you're still working it out, or that you're a flash in the pan, but you know, I don't think we are, because I'm just soon to be 13 years into this. I'm in my 13th year. So we're not a flash in the pan. We have enough of a customer base. We're global in scope. So it's like, yeah, they told me they weren't revenue agnostic. They told me they were revenue agnostic, which meant it was okay that you didn't have that. But then when the rubber hit the road, they said, you don't have enough revenue. And it's like, well, you're crushing my dreams, but thank you. And as I found out, it was an investor group that had just formed and bought 2 companies of 2 of my friends. So they're serious. So I'm going to circle back around to them when we come around to that revenue. So people are coming knocking. But Scouting for the Cure is an entity that was formed the 25th of this month. And it's so appropriate that I get to tell you about it today. It's to find the cure, to fund the cure for the cancer that took Scout and our first German Shepherd. So I've lived through this twice. I was more knowledgeable about it the second time, but it didn't hurt any less. It hurt more. because the dogs mean more to me. And I don't like to call them dogs. I really, that just makes them seem like property. I like to call them my pups. But Scouting for the Cure will be my full-time focus when that somebody comes up and says, yeah, we know that you're crazy as fuck, and we know that your treats rock, and that you have this global footprint, and here's a stupid as fuck check for, you know, several $1 billion for your company. Will you take it? And it's like, well, yeah, where do I sign? You know, here's my routing number, my account number, where do I go? But this will be, you kind of have to have your, don't just, when you set your goals, don't, and this is from experience, and if you're kind of woo, embrace the woo, but have some of that too, if you're, especially if you're kind of logical, but embrace the woo, because if you set your goals to only get so far, that's as far as you're going to go. Set your goals so much higher. Don't say the sky's the limit. Just why not embrace the universe or the galaxy, because it's so much bigger. Set your sights for more than you want, because when you get part way, you can celebrate the victories and then keep going. So I've got my eyes set on where I'm going to go and what I'm going to do after Scout and Zoe's is gone for someone else to have. That, in a nutshell, is everything I wanted to tell you, and I think I'm leaving ample time for questions. So rock on, my dears. What's up? What can I answer for you?
Do you do your own graphic design, or do you have somebody you hire?
No, I have somebody to do that. I do really good stick figures. Yeah.
It's really good, like even on the boxes, it's so well.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
You said you try all of your baby meat or all of the snacks. What do the trout heads taste like?
They're nasty. They're nasty, and if you don't like fish, I don't suggest that you eat them. Yes, it's nasty as hell.
Have you eaten the Superfly stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Is it good?
It tastes a little nutty.
Yeah.
And you can find out if you want, because there's samples for y'all down here. And this, what you can get, come up at the end of the class, and what you have is our Superfly product. You can give it to cats or dogs, even though it's just labeled for dogs. It's our jerky made with the black soldier fly larva. And on the back, it gives you all the reasons why. This is our one-sheeter, why it's good. Like, it's very pro-earth. The grubs feed on fruits and vegetables that are meant for the landfill, so they're cleaning up the earth. They don't have to have any more water because they get the water they need from the vegetables and the fruit. They don't fart, so the ozone layer is safe. They take very little land because they grow in condos, like Superfly condos, instead of being a vertical horse thing, and they're full of the good stuff. And it's a novel protein, so pets tend not to be allergic to it. And then you have our wonderful Nat Your Average Treat press kit right here, so everybody gets one of those. Who else had a question? That can't be it. No. Yes, ma'am.
How did you come across like your packaging and branding things?
I had a really good graphic designer, and he and I sat down one day and he pulled everything out of my head that I was thinking about, and that's how it came to be initially. And this is the first generation of the packaging, and we're moving, and this was great when we only had, or for the treats, but this was great when we only had like 4 or 5 treats, but now that we have over 150 SKUs, it's this wall of stripes, and you can't tell what it is until you look at it. So we're moving to these color blocks where everything has a different color, so that if you send your boyfriend or your husband to the pet store, to your neighborhood pet store, not to PetSmart or Petco, because we're not in there. If you send them to like Ruse or somebody and say, oh, you need to get the Catastic toppers. And he goes, well, what do they look like? I'm not going to search forever. Say they're in this green little bag, this green and white label. So we're trying to make it where it's easy for people to find them. Yes?
2 questions. You said that you were fired from your first job at the church. Do you want to share why? Or,
Oh yeah, I've been fired from every job I've had but one. Every job, and I'm 64, so I mean I got a track record. And they always said, one company told me, it was a meeting planning company, they told me I wasn't wired right. And I thought, cool. Yeah. And then the other companies, I think they they were intimidated by my personality, because I tend to have, and I'm sure you can't tell, I have a really big personality, and I am not a wallflower. So I can always find a better way to do something, but I don't force that on anybody. I just do it, and I'm more efficient that way. And I think that, especially in that meeting planning company, when they told me I wasn't wired right, it was all women. And they thought I was gunning for their job, but hell, I didn't want it. I just wanted to travel the world with Eli Lilly and do what I wanted, do what I did best. Your second question.
There was a hand over there.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
You're fine. I just was gonna say, I went down there to talk to Marie, and I saw that like you were putting samples out, and I legit thought it was human food, and I was like, that looks bomb. And you were like, these are flies, and I was like, oh shit. I would have died. I'm not gonna lie. I would have 100% been like, oh, free sample if you hadn't said anything.
My favorite treat is the chicken and apple bites, and I always have it out in a bowl at trade shows. And I eat that. I'd rather eat that than a hot dog. I pay $13 for a hot dog that I don't know what the hell's in it. And, you know, plus it's $13 and you don't know how good it's going to be. So I keep that out. It kind of tastes like barbecue.
Yeah.
Yes?
Have you ever had, like, any of your customers be like, markets, some of the stores in humans as well?
Yeah, there's too many regulations and certifications that you have to go through for human jerky. And I don't want to do that. And I mean, and you know, humans are finicky. Humans are like cats. It's like you can't please everybody, but all the dogs love me. In fact, in our neighborhood, even when, because I smell like treats all the time, and I smell like other dogs. So when dogs come up to me, they don't just come up to me, they come up and sit on my feet and whine because they know that I have treats, and they know that I'm a good soul, you know, because dog people are good people. Well, hang on just a second. Well, go ahead. Come back to you.
You have a small business. What's the best way to promote that business? You have a small business.
I do have a small business.
I'm asking, what's the best way to promote it?
Oh, the best way to promote it? I don't know. Yeah, it's a moving target. And the reason it's a moving target is because, like, the social media stuff changes all the time. We've run ads in consumer magazines. We've run ads in trade magazines. We've done TV advertising. We've done we've done everything. And there is no clear path that says, oh, there's our Northern Star, that we should do it this way. So it's a continual, you have to be very fluid with that because everything changes. If I had stayed with the same way that I had started with in 2010, it would be so outdated today. I mean, it's a moving target. So, but if I can ever help you with something.
So what's stopping you from going to bigger pet stores and stuff, or just stores in general like Walmart?
Me. I don't like them. Plus, I've dealt with them trying to do private label for them. We do a lot of our own labeling. We do private label, which is like we take this treat and put somebody else's label on it. And I resisted that for a really long time. But you know that cash still spins and it looks great in my account, my bank account. Plus, it means that I get to have better treats in the mouths of their customers. So I love that. But their business model is kind of screwed. They take forever to pay. I don't want to be in big stores, big box stores, because it would piss off our retailers, frankly, because they're independently owned single or multi-location store owners. And they, you know, when you shop small, you promote, instead of a corporate jet somewhere, you're helping somebody pay for their daughter's dance lessons or horse riding lessons, or a mother of an autistic child trying to get him the skills that he needs to assimilate into school. So I don't want to be there. And quite frankly, like in Walmart, like our kangaroo jerky is $20 a bag for 3 ounces. That's what the MSRP is. That's not the Walmart customer. Somebody there is going to buy Old Roy for their dog. That's also not my customer, because when I see that in somebody's basket, or Purina or whatever it is, that tells me that they don't give a rat's ass about their pet. They may, but maybe they don't know any better, or that's all they can afford. So I try not to be very judgmental about that, but the big box stores are just not for me. Not for Scout and Zoe's, not under my watch. Somebody, yes, sir.
So you call a lot of these treats. Would you like? So did they have like a set dog food that they eat, and then these are treats, or like you like give them a variety of this, and that's their meal for the day?
No, they have food.
Okay, gotcha.
They have food, and these are just. It's on the back. It says feed as a treat.
Okay.
So it's like if you ate lunch, you ate a very healthy lunch. You're gonna have a salad and some greens today, some broccoli, and all of that stuff that's good for you, right?
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, well, I think that I've been good today, so I'm going to have a Fig Newton. Or I'm going to go to Insomnia Cookies and get a white chocolate macadamia nut cookie that's still warm.
Yeah.
That's a treat.
Gotcha.
That's a treat.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Not a meal. That's a treat.
So do you make dog food then, or do you?
We had raw dog food.
Okay.
And raw frozen, and we COVID took care of that for us because our processor no longer had the staff to pack it. So at some point we'll bring it back, but right now we don't have it. But the end we will have freeze dried because that will be easy. Yes.
So have you ever had a commercial promoting your product?
Sort of. On social media, we've had snippets. If you go through Facebook, the Scout and Zoe's Facebook page, which you should all like our page, and mine personally, but like the Scout and Zoe's page first. But you can see little things. There's one, it starts off with Asian, it says Asian carp are real a-holes. And it's all done with that tongue-in-cheek humor. It's that devil-may-care attitude, and we know we're going to offend some people. But that's the brand. That's the DNA of the brand. And that's when they ask me if I would say I fucking love dogs, it's like, oh God, you really unleashed the hounds when you said that.
Oh, another question. Now that you said like the catchphrase and stuff like that, have any of your like older consumers gotten upset because of how edgy your humor is?
Probably, like my sister. Yeah. She said, I just don't understand your need to swear. And I said, well, my mom was a nurse in the operating room, and my dad was a sailor. So I learned to cuss at home. So I remember the first time I heard some of these words, and it's like if you took my DNA, there would be a portion of it that says, yes, she swears like a sailor, and then the other portion is she's canine, she's a dog. So and those together, I mean, I'm pretty much an agency's dream customer, because the agency that created like the carp or a-holes and some of this stuff, they learned my voice, so I gave them free rein to do whatever they wanted. And so there's two things with that. One, I think, is a funny story. How much time do we have left?
We still have at least 20 minutes.
Oh, good. I can tell these stories then. So with the Superfly jerky, you're probably not going to know who this is. Does anybody know who Superfly is? Yeah, the movie from the 70s. And it was called Blaxploitation movies with Foxy Brown and Superfly and all of these movies. It was a genre of movies. And there was a Curtis Mayfield song called Superfly for the movie. Superfly. You have to Google it. So the agency had no clue about that. And it's like, no, this has to be called Superfly because it's a fly, it's Superfly, and it's super fly. So it's all that double entendre stuff. It's good on so many different levels. I had to really explain it to them and then get them to Google it. Then one day, they put out a GIF on social media that had me going like this. And I mean, this endless loop of me going like this, and it said, Boss AF under it. And it was for Bosses Day. And my text just started blowing up. And it's like, oh my God, that's the coolest ever. It's like, what? And they said, look at your Facebook page. Because they would just post things, and I was okay with that. So when I looked at it, it said Boss AF. And it's like, well, what the hell does that mean? And so I called them, and they said, you really don't know? And I said, no. And they said, boss as fuck. And I said, what does that mean? And I mean, I'm probably the most unhip person that you will ever meet. So when I Googled it, it's like, oh, okay, I understand. And now I understand because I'm cool as fuck. But it's interesting because if you're open to all of these and if you're authentic, it will come through. And yes, it does offend people. we tend not to hear about that. So we toe the line. We actually don't toe the line, we cross it. We cross it, and it's fun. There was another question over here somewhere. This side of the room is very quiet, no questions. Yes, ma'am.
You talked about the antlers and how most people don't know how to deal with an antler. Is it not just like a bone?
It is, but at the time, in 2010, nobody knew what to do with them. And dogs were going, well, they smell good, but what do we do with them?
My dog doesn't like bones. She's very picky.
And see, that was the problem. Well, there were two problems with antlers, that some dogs didn't know what to do with them or like them, and that they lasted too long. And that's when that marketing, that weird space between my head, it's like, we got to do something to make these people buy sooner, buy more often. So we split them in half. And the antler splits are one of them. It's the most popular antler that we sell because it's split open. The marrow's right there for the dog to get into, so it's wonderful for dogs. We call them dogs who are less inclined to chew instead of lazy dogs. So, because, you know, there are some people who are less inclined to exercise, but they're not lazy. So we split open the antler so that they can eat the marrow, the good part, the yummy part, like the filling of an Oreo. And then that's better for senior dogs, too, or dogs who have had dental problems, because they don't have to chew through the hardest surface of the antler to get to the best part. It's like unscrewing an Oreo and eating the cream. But, you know, and then some dogs won't eat trout heads, but, you know, I think those are crazy dogs, but whatever. Y'all are also very quiet. Anyone? We got 20 minutes, yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing like a Christmas advent calendar, like with See the Surprise Pack?
Yeah, we have thought about that. It's we have to get the prototype made though, and that's the issue. And we never think about it in enough time, because we'd have to get it made in February to distribute it in August. There was something else I was going to tell y'all, and I'd be damned if I know what it was. It'll come to me after. It's like, oh yeah, that was something I should have told you, but what else do you? Yes, ma'am.
So I'm curious, what's your factory setup look like? Like, if I were to be watching an episode of how it's made, like, what would that look like?
Well, our warehouse is in Anderson, and the products are produced in co-manufacturers all over the United States. So we don't manufacture anything in Anderson. We just bring it in bulk. We store it. We pack it in our packages or the packages of other companies, and then we sell bulk, like for treat bars. You know, when you go in and you can take a stick of this or an ounce of that, and then we send it out. We fulfill it from there. One thing that I didn't cover was that when I said we do good for the earth, the dog, the earth, the pet, and the community, we started out with inmates packaging the chews as they tried to re-enter life from being incarcerated. That didn't work out very well because they didn't want to work. So then the stroke of brilliance was that the Hopewell Center in Anderson is a facility that teaches adults with intellectual challenges how to have job skills. And we've had a relationship with them ever since we started the company. And they pack our chews, or they did until COVID hit. And then, so if you came to the warehouse in Anderson, it's 17,000 square feet. I now have an office instead of a closet, which is so nice. And we have 2 part-time people and 2 on call. So we actually have 4 people to pack treats. I was going to buy a piece of equipment this year that cost $350,000 that could do all of that, could automate it all. But we never could get the city to pull the trigger on the rest of the funding because we were going to do the revolving loan fund, and the mayor wouldn't approve the additional $50,000. We're still waiting on him, and it's been 8 months. So, Mayor, if you're listening, where's my 50 grand? Yes, sir.
So is this like a drop shipping type of deal where you buy it in whole and then just give it out to the sellers?
It's not really drop shipping in the truest sense. Drop shipping is where, like, if you ordered off of Chewy, which we don't do any business with Chewy. Retailers also hate them because they undersell them all the time. But if you ordered from Chewy, Chewy would send us, if we did do business with Chewy, they would send us a PO, and we just send it out, we'd drop ship it to you, and there's a charge for that. But the stores order direct from us. So we cut the middle, we cut distributors out because they're greedy little bastards that want 30 to 35% off of wholesale for products, and we do a better job. We can control how it's manufactured, how it's marketed. We can control the expiration date on it so it doesn't sit in a warehouse before the store gets it.
What about, where does Rural King stand, with you and, because when I think of, where I get dog food and, treats and stuff, there's, a massive section there. And aren't they, only Indiana, so it's not, a massive...
It's kind of like Tractor Supply and Quality Farm and Feed. I went down and did the day at Tractor Supply in Nashville one time. Those companies tend to want the moon, and I don't know specifically about Rural King, so I'll put that caveat in there, but they want the moon, they want the best treats in the world, but they want to pay Old Roy prices for it, so there's this big disparage, this big gap of what they want. In fact, that's what the Tractor Supply buyer told me. It's like, no, we want to do kangaroo and venison. It's like, well, okay, well, this is the price. And they said, no, this is what we want to pay for it. And it's like, no, this is what you're going to pay for it. And so we decided not to do business. So if we could, that would be a great place for the black soldier fly larva because they could feed it to chickens. We could do it up in pound bags or 2-pound bags, and that's how that actually that's how that started. Is I was trying to I was feeding my mealworms to bluebirds in our yard several years ago, and the dogs were underneath the feeder eating the mealworms, and it's like, oh, okay, that's a good idea. I'll just do treats with mealworms, but I want to find a better source for mealworms because I don't want to pay retail for them because I have a wholesale license, so why not? So save myself some money. And we couldn't do that because they weren't approved. The short story is mealworms weren't approved, but black soldier fly was going to be approved. And I was way on the cutting edge of that. When I heard that, it's like I went right there, found somebody domestically that could produce them, and I had it done and produced and ready for sale in 2019. It was approved in the summer of 2021. So we were right there. 2 weeks after, we were at a trade show with it. Yes, ma'am?
You being the authentic person that you have been through and through throughout your entire career, how would you suggest us to remain authentic and true to our self-brand in a world that can be very dismissive and discouraging of people that are not conforming to society's standards?
You mean the haters? Yeah. There's a lot of them out there. There's... It's hard. It's not hard, it's challenging. In the past, I have never been one to care much about what people thought of me. As I've aged, I care even less. So, it's to the point where it'd be wonderful if you liked me because I'm a really sweet person, but it's okay if you don't because the sun will still come up, the moon will still rise, but you have to have, my dad used to call it a lot of intestinal fortitude. You have to have a pretty strong constitution to stand your ground and say, this is who I am, this is what I am, this is what I stand for. And it's no less difficult being an entrepreneur and being unique and authentic than it is to be LGQ. Thank you. Now it's changed, and it used to be just if you're gay, or if you're trans, or if you're bi, or if you're white, or if you're black, or if you're Puerto Rican, you have to stand in your truth. Stand and be strong who you are. Because if you can do that and you can own it, you can exude it. And that will be my gift to all of you. Not just the treats, but my gift to all of you. Stand in your truth because your business, you are the face of your business. And until you have some cute little dog like I do, the dogs like I do, I'm still the face of the business. And some people hate it, some people love it, but you kind of have to take, my dad would also say you have to have alligator skin, just to let it, just Teflon, just let it roll off, and don't let it bother you, although there are days when it just really gets the better of me sometimes, and that's when I hang up the phone and go, fuck, what the hell am I doing here? And it's not a bed of roses, it's not good every day, it's challenging, but it's the hardest job you'll ever love. And I would not continue doing it if I didn't feel so strongly about it, but stand in your truth. Be who you are, and it will come through in your brand.
Have you ever thought about experimenting into making candy, like chocolate stuff, actually good for dogs so that way they don't kill them?
You can't give dogs chocolate because it's toxic, but you could do carob. That's a good substitute. We don't do confections because that would be hard to regulate in the summertime with the shipping, just like the raw was hard in the summertime or difficult in the summertime because of the heat. We tend to stick with more of the novel proteins. I'm the queen of novel proteins and the queen of body parts, but I'm also, you'll love this, I'm the U.S. insect expert. Yeah, the insect expert. I've been on panels globally. I mean, I know every black soldier fly manufacturer and grower in the world. They've all called me. There's this really cool report, and I wish if I had $2,500, maybe Ball State will give it to me. But there's this report, and for $2,500, it could be mine, but it talks about these companies who have a lot to do with black soldier fly larvae, and it lists Mars and Purina and Blue Buffalo and all of these gigantic titans of the pet industry. Scout and Zoe's is listed in that report too. And we're the only independently owned pet company in that list. And the first time I saw that, I'm so thrilled. I was so thrilled. It's like, oh my God, I'm listening with the big guys, I'm listening with the big guys. But no, I don't want to do it. I just want to stay in my lane. I do the novel proteins very well and sustainable stuff, so that's what I want to continue to be known for that. I see everybody's packing up. Is it time? Or do we have some time?
We have at least 5 more minutes.
Okay. Or you must just be cold. You must just be cold. Who else has another question? Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious what you, like, because you don't have food, like dog food, you have a lot of treats and stuff. What do you trust to, like, feed your pets?
Well, we only have one now. We only have Ziva. And Ziva eats a raw diet. She is on a prescription diet because she has kidney issues from a vet that did not do her justice by diagnosing things in a timely manner, like Scout's cancer. So she eats Darwin's raw, and it's a kidney raw formula. Not my favorite choice, but it has everything to get her kidney levels back in where they need to be. And at some point very soon, we'll look at doing a customized raw diet for her with the nutritionist that I worked with on the cat toppers. She and I collaborated. She's in New York. Her name is Taz Latifi, and that's why it says Cat-tastic, not Cat-tastic, but Cat-tastic, and we'll have this for dogs too. But she eats raw because they are carnivores.
How young can cats start eating that?
You got a kitten?
I have 2.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. This would be really good for them. Cats are obligate carnivores. They don't need fruits or vegetables or carbohydrates. They need protein. That's all they need. And this is a powerhouse of protein because everything in it, the salmon, the larva, and the nutritional yeast is protein. A lot of vegetarians and vegans eat nutritional yeast because it's a protein and it's not dairy, because animals tend to be lactose intolerant. But yeah, the cats can eat this too. You can go, I'll set this up today. I thought about this morning and I did not do it before I got here. But should you be so inclined to go to our website and check us out and order product, and trust me, I wasn't going to do this because I didn't have time to set it up, but now that you've prompted me for this, I'll set up a code for 10% off treats if anybody wants to buy them, and it would be BSU would be the code. Just straight up BSU. It doesn't matter if it's caps, doesn't matter if it's lowercase, but you'll get 10% off your treats, and it'll probably go through next Friday, a week from tomorrow. So if you're so inclined, I'll set that up, and it'll be active sometime afternoon today, after the lunch hour. So, anything else?
I want to remind you to get your selfie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We got to do a selfie. Say cheese. Everybody come in. There's too much dead space here. Okay, thank you.